Now, if discovering your life's purpose were a puzzle, would you be like the majority of men, convinced you're missing most of the pieces? Because truth is, discovering your life's purpose is a puzzle. And your game, number one, is to believe that God provides you with the pieces that you need when you are ready for them. Let me go ahead and say that again because that's an important one. God will provide you the pieces that you need, full stop, when you are ready for them. And I'll emphasize when you are ready for them again. And number two, that it's your job to figure out the sequence of putting the puzzle together. In today's session, I'm going to share with you the number one stumbling block and how you can turn it in to a stepping stone. I'm going to give you some action steps that you can take to live passionately as you are on the quest to discover your higher purpose. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Masculine to the Core and the Man in the Arena podcast. My name is Mark Mascola. I'm grateful to be here and grateful you are here as well. You are a man who is on the quest to become more God-centered and fulfillment-driven. You, my brother, are in the right place, and now is the right time. If you haven't yet, I invite you to step into the arena and subscribe. And as always, check the links in the description for stuff you won't find here on the channel. Buckle up. Here we go. All right, before I launch into this session, let me throw you out a quick invitation here. As a man who has struggled for years searching for my true identity and my own purpose in my life, I have made it my mission to empower men with resources to discover theirs. If you feel like there's something missing in your life, I want to invite you to take the Power Number Life Assessment. It focuses on the 8 key areas that I call power numbers that every modern man must master for personal, professional, and spiritual fulfillment. Now, this is a free resource I created, and I can guarantee you it will reveal to you some areas of your life where you may be settling for less than you want in your personal, professional, or spiritual life. The core question every man must ask himself who is on the quest to discover his true identity and more purpose in his life, a man who is on the path to be a man of impact in his home, in his community, in the world we live in, the number one question he has to ask himself, and I challenge you to ask yourself this every single day: what am I settling for that I am no longer willing to settle for? If you're ready to ask and then answer that question, discover where you are with those 8 power numbers, this life assessment, I can promise, again, guarantee you that it's the first step to taking total control of your life in the next 60 days. I'll stick a link in the description. So the title of this session is a question. What's the number one thing that holds men back? And let me put my hand in the air. I know it did for me, from finding their purpose. The stumbling block that we're going to turn into a stepping stone. Now, I'm not going to waste any of your time. I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer. You don't have to wait till the end of this session to get the answer. It's one of the central themes in my books, Masculine to the Core and the 60 Quest Field Manual. I'm going to give you one answer, one thing to believe, and then I'm going to give you some action steps. The answer to the question, what's the number one thing that holds men back from discovering their purpose? What is the stumbling block? The answer is that men discount their part in God's story of salvation. Think about that answer. I'm going to go ahead and say it again. Men discount their part in God's story of salvation. Sounds like a pretty heavy lift, right? Well, let me tell you, it is. Finding and living with purpose, with your higher purpose, it's not a game for the meek. It's not a game for the mild. It's not a game for men who are looking to play small. It's for men who want to play a game of impact, a game of great magnitude. Men discount their part. To discount means to disregard, dismiss, or treat with little importance. Men discount their part in God's story of salvation. Men disregard their part in God's story. Men dismiss their part in God's story. They treat with little importance their part in God's story. And why is that? Number one, they don't believe, right? They don't believe that they're part of the story. Number two, they don't feel worthy of. They don't know how to, and they somehow assume that living with purpose, living with a higher purpose, is for other men and not for them. So, like I told you, I'm going to give you one thing to believe and then some action steps. So what's the one thing to believe? Believe that your higher power created you with and for a purpose. And we'll go ahead and roll through the action steps, and then we'll go through each of them individually. So the action steps are, Don't settle for where you are. Don't settle for who you are. You have to take personal responsibility for discovering your purpose. You have to affirm that you are a man who is on that path every single day, and you have to understand that being a purpose, finding purpose in your life means being a man of great impact. Again, not playing small. So believe your higher power. This is the thing that you have to believe. Believe your higher power created you with and for a purpose. You know, in the acronym for the word core, masculine to the core, and the Man in the Arena podcast, the word core, committed, optimistic, resilient, and empowered by their masculine walk with God. Optimism is the O. Now, this doesn't mean glass half full, doesn't mean glass half empty. Optimism is a spiritual strength that is either one of your core or outer core strengths. I'm grateful it's one of my core strengths. Or it's one of your neutral or lesser strengths, which means it's a strength that you have to develop. But optimism is a spiritual muscle. It's a muscle that you have to develop, and the only way to develop it, just like exercise and strengthening your muscles, it has to be developed through use. Believe your higher power created you with and for a higher purpose. It's not glass half full, glass half empty. In God's world of unlimited potential, you have to realize there are multiple glasses, and the glasses are always refillable. So the number one thing you got to believe in, you got to believe your higher power created you with and for a higher purpose. So what are the action steps? You can't settle for where you are. Men, there are the massive men in our world today feel like every day is just like yesterday, right? They're reading the same chapter out of the same book over and over and over. It's like if you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, right? He wakes up today, and today was just like yesterday like the day before. And, you know, if you do not strengthen your spiritual muscle of optimism, you will not have any hope that tomorrow or the day after that will be any different. You can't settle for where you are. If you're frustrated, maybe a little bit angry, let me tell you, congratulations. The most dangerous place for a man is when their acceptance becomes compliance, their compliance becomes apathy. They just don't care anymore. They're just going through the motions, and before long, they just don't care about anything that's going on. That is the most dangerous place for a man to be. If you're frustrated, if you're a little angry, congratulations. Frustration is the first step of not settling for where you are. In coaching and mentoring men for over 2 decades, I would much rather work with a man who's angry, because at least he cares enough to be pissed off about something, rather than one who doesn't give a shit about anything. Again, apathy is the most dangerous place for a man, when he just doesn't care. And I'm going to tell you, it's scary how many apathetic men there are walking around in our world today. So the first action step, don't settle for where you are. The second one, you can't settle for who you are. Personal growth is the foundation of all of it. You know, you just heard me mention the 8 key areas every modern man must master. Key area number 1 is personal growth. You have to become bigger than your present place. Let me tell you, it's not about positive mindset. Anybody that is telling you that personal growth is all about having a mindset, they have whiffed on what personal growth is all about. Personal growth is the first power number that you have to master, and you will not master your life until you master yourself. Discovering your higher purpose is a game of self-mastery. Your personal growth must also include your professional growth and your spiritual growth. And let me tell you, if you're not using the word personal growth and spiritual growth in the same sentence, you're missing what personal growth is all about. This growth, personal, professional, and spiritual growth, it's a perpetual game that we all have to take part in every single day. Action step, the third one. You have to take personal responsibility for discovering your purpose. Your purpose is not the same as mine. It's not the same as the next guy's. Discovering your purpose is a game of personal responsibility, and it's up to you. If you give people, places, things, permission in your life to hold you back, that's not about them. That is about you. You cannot allow your past to hold your present and your future hostage. You got to let go of blame. You got to let go of unforgiveness. You got to let go of anything in your past, again, that is going to hold your future hostage. Everything behind you has brought you to this present moment. You must see it as a gift. Again, if you are frustrated with where you are, congratulations. Frustration is the first step, but taking personal responsibility for everything in your past brings you to the place where you're ready to take personal responsibility for discovering your higher purpose. Listen, this is not for weak-minded men who want to be victims of their past. You can't do it. Discovering your higher purpose means you're willing to let go of your current circumstances. You're willing to let go of your current self to be and become the best and most powerful version of you, because purpose, higher purpose, always comes after true identity. You've got to affirm who you are and whose you are. There's an affirmation that I put in the book, Masculine in the Core, and I just love saying it all the time. It's a 3-part affirmation: self-worth, I am; self-confidence, I can; self-image, I become. Self-worth, I am because God says so. Grace is defined as the free and unmerited favor of God. It means you didn't have to do anything for it. God gave it to you. He brought you into this world worthy. You have to accept that worthiness. That's part of God's grace. Again, the free and unmerited favor of God. Self-worth, I am because God says so. Self-confidence, I can because I say so. Confidence comes from courage. Courage comes from the willingness to do what most men won't, to have what most men don't. When I talk about masculine to the core and the acronym CORE, the R is for resilience. It's not about not getting knocked down. It's about getting knocked on your ass and getting back up. Being willing to forge ahead, because I can promise you there is an enemy that will do anything to keep you from discovering your true identity and who God created you to be and to become, and your higher purpose. Meaning that you understand that there is an assignment that God has given you while you are on this earth. Self-image, I become the man of impact God created me to be. Again, the affirmation: self-worth, I am; self-confidence, I can; self-image, I become. Because validation, masculine validation, begins with you. It's an inside job. External validation matters little if you don't validate who you are and whose you are. And yes, the whose is capitalized for a reason. So, the last action plan, the last action step is to understand that being a man of purpose means becoming a man of impact. Discovering your higher purpose is a game of great magnitude and a game of great responsibility. Committed, optimistic, resilient. Again, the enemy will go to any lengths to keep you from discovering your true identity and your assignment in God's master plan for salvation. The 8 power numbers that I mentioned earlier, number 8 is spiritual connection and life's purpose. And let me tell you, in some shape, form, or fashion, your life's purpose means that you live a life that honors God and you are serving your fellow man. You are being and becoming a man of impact in your home, in your community, in the world we live in. Purpose means you create a life. Impact means you create a life that outlives your time here on this earth. God put you here with and for a purpose. Live a life where God looks at you and affirms, "This is my son in whom I am well pleased." I want God to say about me, "This is my son Mark in whom I am well pleased." You want every single day to live your life so God says, "This is my son," fill in the blank here with your name, "in whom I am well pleased." And when we meet our Creator, every man who is searching to live with his higher purpose, his quest ought to be to hear the words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." That is the ultimate validation we're all looking for. That is the validation of our higher power, validating our higher purpose. So, take that power number assessment. I can promise you, it will change your life, because you will be able to see some areas where you're settling for less than you probably want to. So go take that power number assessment. That's it for today. The action plan steps, again: don't settle for where you are. Don't settle for who you are. Take personal responsibility for discovering that purpose. Validate and affirm the man God created you to be and to become, and understand that living with purpose means that you are playing a game of great magnitude, a game of impact. You want to be a man who is a powerful example of God working in, with, through, and for, and most importantly, through, in our homes, in our communities, in the world we live in. So go take that power number assessment. We'll see you on the next session. Bye for now.